All right, welcome back, traders. Brandon Blackwell here. Welcome to another weekly Forexcast. All right, so I'm going to get right into it. Last week we had a solid week. All right, for the most part. Even if we look at, I'm gonna start off with GA, but if I take you over to the Discord real quick, we had a solid week last week. All right. If we look at GA with GJ, you see right here, our take profit was hit on GJ 115 pips or so. And then we also had, what was that? It was GA. Our GA sale actually hit 155 pips. And we had other setups that was given out, like CHF JPY that played out. All right. Euro JPY played out. Okay. So I'm going to cover some potential moves that we can continue to follow this week and see how we can catch these. Okay. So looking at GA, GA is at an interesting level because if you look at this on the weekly chart, we can see that it's a head and shoulders here, even on the weekly. So doing a top-down analysis, you can see this is our head of price. You can see we have a left shoulder here and a right shoulder here. All right. This weekly candle just closed. All right. With like a spinning top in a way, or, it's showing a price exhaustion. All right. Since this right shoulder, came up here, created that wick exhaustion, and now we see price pulling away. All right. So let's go down to the daily chart. All right, so you can see here on the daily, this was actually some of the sell that we caught. So you see right here, price pulled up, looking to the left, it came up to his level of structure where it had breakout selling pressure in the past, and it had a nice strong rejection from that level again. All right, so my bias is still to the downside on GA. I still would be looking for more potential sales in this coming week or this week. So if we look at this, again, this is the head and shoulders, right? Right shoulder right here. And if we look at this, what price is doing now, I want to allow price. Now, this was the sell that we caught, all right? On this pullback, we caught this sell on this correction, and that hit our TP at 1.875. All right, so you could take a counter trend line here. All right. So you see right here, price gave us that impulse of breakdown from that level of structure, right? This was the correction. On this correction was nice opportunities for that continued sell. So price gave us that continuation down. But then after that, formed this wick rejection and then had a pump back up. All right, so price is at an interesting point. It's one or two ways I would look to trade this week. All right. Either I would need to see price break back down below structure, give me some type of corrective move, and then I'll look for that continuation that way. Or if price wants to, potentially bounce from this level and retest towards these highs again, that's still possible. And then if price does that, I will look for the continuation breakdown on the on the retest. So how this daily candle close on Monday, I think is going to be significant, or how price plays around this structure, because we still could possibly see this one more corrective wave up before we get that continued move down, or price is just going to break below structure. Because if it breaks below structure, for me, that's a sign that we're going lower. Looking to the left, this is the level of support structure. So we want to see price have a break below that. With that, catch that corrective flag, maybe a retest, and then look for that continued bearish pressure to the downside. All right. So let's see how price develops around this level. All right. So looking at GJ. GJ was a nice buy that we caught. All right. If you look to the left, major level of demand structure. All right. Price bounced every time at this level. Right. So price came to this same level and we were catching buys from here. You see here on a daily, it formed this bullish, found bullish support at this level. On a 4-hour, right here, price actually was forming some bullish divergence right here. This right here, all right, price had a rejection. It had an initial rejection from this level. This was a corrective move. On this correction and price holding back above structure, we were catching our buys and we rolled this up. All right, but you see, it was actually some bullish divergence with that lower low being there. And then here on our RSI, we're seeing higher high structure coming in. All right. And then just line that up with the price action we saw develop, and we was able to catch some nice buys on that. All right. So now looking at where price is currently at, it's around a level of structure where it could possibly correct and roll over to the downside. All right, so I do believe our next wave could potentially be bearish. All right, because looking at this, I mean, even on the 4-hour, it still could be potential downtrend. Like you got the high, this was the retest. We caught some of this sell that last week. All right, on this pullback, we caught some of this sell to the downside, and then we caught the buy. So now price is retesting around this structure where price had a sell-off. So if this holds right here and breaks back below structure, all right, then we could potentially see this give us a corrective wave back down. All right, back down. So that's what I would look for, because looking at the daily, price form like doji, all right, showing signs of like a price exhaustion. Actually, with such a pump like this, seeing such a price moved over 260 pips from that low, all right, so we could be due for another correction at this level of structure. So this daily candle close is going to be important too. Let's say it holds here in this daily candle close, nice bearish rejection like that, then we can just look to catch those corrections. All right. So that's why this structure right here, I will pay attention to. All right. Around here. So if price holds and breaks that structure, I would say look for those corrections, maybe a pullback or retest. And then we could probably get that corrective wave down. All right. GU. So GU is at an interesting level. I mean, we look at this on the weekly. All right, you can see price is at a level where it could possibly be a higher low. Like here, we had a strong pump, pull back down, had another pump, and is back down now at a potential higher low area, and resting on our trend line. So looking at the daily, price did form a bullish engulfing pump right here in this level of demand. All right, so normally after seeing an impulse like that, I will look for a potential continuation on this correction. All right, but right now, price is correcting back down lower. All right, we can even take off fib. It's low, it's high. All right, it's roughly pulled back about 61.8% so far. All right, so I would like to see how this daily candle closes tomorrow. But my bias after seeing that type of impulse and seeing that price action on the daily, I do believe this could possibly be giving us a correction down to give us another wave up. That's what I would lean towards. But if this was to continue to come down and break structure, then that's different. But after seeing this type of strong bullish engulfing pump on the daily, I'm still leaning for this just to be a correction to give us another wave up. All right, so that's what I would look for, potential opportunity there on GU. Because also the dollar is at an interesting level. I didn't look at the dollar index yet, but the dollar index here we see is at this high. So if the dollar index holds at this level of resistance and starts to roll over, I believe that will help GU, the bias of that strong dollar coming in, along with that GU buy. So, weak dollar. If the dollar was to hold this level and starts to sell off, and then of course if GU is pumping, that goes in line with the dollar weakness. So we'll see how dollar act around this level. If it breaks down here, then that could be a sign that we could see that possibly go lower. All right, so EU. All right, EU has been bearish. Like if you remember, I was anticipating sales from this top. All right. So we anticipated sales, price had a complete wave to the downside. All right. If we look at the weekly, on the weekly, price did just form a doji. All right. So we could be getting some price exhaustion soon. So right now, price is at an interesting level. I believe we are at a level where price could possibly give us one more rollover before we see, a reversal to the upside. But we got to look at structure here, because we look here, price is formed this clear downtrend structure moving to the downside, right? Continuing structure points and rolling over. So after such a retest here with FOMC, we had a strong rejection again. All right, roughly coming back down towards this down towards this demand level right here. So EU, I would say we could possibly still see EU give us one more wave down. Like I would look for that one more wave down, and then probably a reversal down at those lows. Now, if price was to just reverse up, have a breaker structure to the upside, then, I will expect that to just continue up. All right. But right now, my bias is still, I believe we can see EU have one more move to the downside. All right. Before any buys. So my bias on it right now is bearish. So look for a rollover here, back down towards demand structures, and then possibly a rollover. Either that, or again, if price was to just hold here and continue up, then yeah, you could look for those correction buys to the upside. All right, looking at Euro AUD, it's one of the top on my watch list this week. If we look at EA, all right, look at the weekly chart, you can see prices roughly around, you looking to the left, always look left to go right, around this level of demand or strong level of support. When price broke below it, it became resistance, right? So that's a level of structure to pay attention to. All right, price is now retesting around that structure level now. After this strong impulsive move, price is retesting here. It gave us a sell-off there, and now it's retesting, and we'll see that on the smaller time frame. But here on the weekly, we got like a doji, right? A sign of price exhaustion. So if we look at this on a daily, right at this level of structure, all right, same level of structure, right, where price had moves to the downside before, right here, price formed this bearish engulfing, and then we had a rollover, all right, also breaking this wedge or this trend line as well. All right, so if we look at this as well on the 4 hour, all right, you can clearly see that price had a breakdown here, all right. So this was our impulse breakout. And on this correction, I'm expecting price to give us a continued move to the downside in this correction. All right. So it's still early. It's only Sunday. But I will be looking for those potential sales continue to roll over to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for on EA. Euro JPY. Euro JPY was another good setup that was sent out. I was anticipating this buy coming in, especially looking at this on the daily right here. Let's see. All right, so looking at this on a daily first, look at this on a weekly. You see how this weekly candle closed? After a strong weekly rejection like this, like I'm still expecting for EJ to give us bigger moves to the upside for sure. But we just have to see if we're gonna get some type of corrections first, because this is a level of demand structure that are rejected from. If we look at this on a daily, right? Last time price was in this level, had a big move up here. All right, so it's moving back up towards there again. Okay, so you look at that price action, that demand, and you see how price action react once they get into it. You see right here, it formed a double bottom in the past. Double bottom had a strong move up, right, and just moved to the upside. Right here, you see it printed this bullish engulfing first. Actually, this is actually like a morning star as well, like a morning star bullish engulfing right there. All right, so that's a sign that the buyers are coming in. Really, typically seeing something like that in a strong demand level, and seeing this type of price action, I will be confident in taking the buy there after that type of close, especially with it being on a 4 hour stop loss below this level of demand, and you could have just rolled this up. Now that was one way you could have took it right there, or you could look at this, because when I saw this, I was like, this is an inverted head and shoulders right here. All right. So when I sent this out in the Discord, I was like, hey, it's inverted head and shoulders. You could look for price to break above the neckline and come back and retest it. And that's exactly what it did. Right. We could look at this even on the 1 hour. All right. Price broke above this neckline, which, the neckline is the resistance of that inverted. You can put the wick in there as well, but it broke above it. All right. Roughly. Let me see. This was the retest. This right here. This was the break above it. This was the retest. So really on this retest is where you could have had entries as well. All right. You could have entries there. Stop loss could have been below that right shoulder too, but it could have been right below that retest. All right. And you could have rolled this up to the next level of structure, which was here, that level of resistance. All right. So that was a good setup, whether you took it at the low after that bullish engulfing on the 4 hour, or whether you waited for the breaker structure and the pullback or the retest. All right. So for me, price is still bullish. It's just a matter of if it wants to correct more from here. All right. But I do believe, like you see already, price broke above this level of structure here. All right, so this could be just pulling back to retest for another wave up to this level of supply. That can happen. Now, if price breaks down further, then it could be setting up for a deeper correction before it continues to the upside. But overall, I'm still expecting another move up. But after such a pump like this, like I wouldn't be surprised if it gives some type of correction, because this pump was almost 200 pips. All right. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got, even a bigger correction. All right. Before, even if it was down towards here, before you get that continuation up. So that's a possibility too. And I think the way you could look at that is you look at this structure here, because even right here, it closed bullish engulfing on the 4-hour. But if price was to come down and, let's say, break back below this structure right here, then that could be a sign that, we'll probably have a bigger correction down before you get any more continued buys. All right. So that's how I will play EJ. Either you can look for the corrective move, all right, or you can just wait for the bigger correction for the buy. So AU is at an interesting point. If you look at this on a weekly, price had a big move up, all right, and then we got that correction here of that. So if you look at this on a daily, price came down to this level of support right here, this level of demand, and it printed this bullish engulfing, or like this morning star type projection on a daily, all right. So really, if I look at this even on the 4-hour, price found firm support right here, all right. It found firm support. You can also take this counter trend line. All right. We had a nice break, impulsive break of this counter trend line. All right. So I believe this is just a correction. For me, I'm still leaning towards this to give us a move to the upside. All right. I believe this corrective wave is setting up for another wave up. Okay. So that's what I would look for on GA. I would like to see how this daily candle close tomorrow too, but seeing this type of price action on the daily and this big corrective move, I believe this could be setting up for another bullish wave up. USD Cad. If we look at USD Cad on the weekly, I mean, zoom out, you can see this level of structure. It's major level of demand structure, right? Always look left to go right. That's drawn in. It became resistance over here, right, to the downside. It's resistance over here, or supply over there. All right. So if you look at how this weekly candle closed, nice shooting star rejection on a weekly. All right, but that doesn't mean price can't pull back some first. But I'm still leaning towards price to set up for a rollover. All right, but this still could possibly pull back some first. If we look at this on a daily, price came up to the same level of supply and rolled over right here, right? So looking at that, and this type of daily candle, right, wick exhaustion, price could possibly give some type of correction first. So I would either say on a correction, look for those potential moves down, or you could wait for, a break of structure. And then if that breaks structure like that, look for that corrective wave, and then look for that to continue to the downside. All right. Because once we break structure here, looking to the left, you got this trend line, this daily trend line. Also, you got a level of structure right here, level of support or resistance structure. So price is now sitting on that as support. All right. But once that structure is broken back below, you can look for those corrective moves for continuation. All right. So that's what I would look for on USD CAD. Looking at gold is interesting. All right. When you look at gold had a nice sell-off. And when I saw this supply or this big bearish engulfing on the weekly, I definitely was expecting price to continue to roll over. And I was looking for some type of correction first. So it gave a slight correction on a smaller time frame before rolling over. But you see right here, price broke down, slightly pulled back, and then just had a big sell-off. All right. So last week, I was able to catch this sale. Now, I missed this initial impulsive drop, all right? But when I saw price do one of these, for example, price broke down and with FOMC, it retested this structure and sold off again. But you see on the retest of this structure here, previous structure support, I'm on a 4-hour chart now, it formed this shooting star rejection, strong bearish engulfing rejection. So after seeing that, I was like, okay, I believe we're going to get a continued move down. But after seeing such a candle like that, I'm like, okay, I need to see a correction happen first, a pullback. So this is where I caught the sell. So you see here, now I'm on a 1-hour, price broke down right here. On this pullback, that's where I was taking my entries. All right, because I was confident after that 4 hours bearish engulfing, price was going to hold. So I took my sales there. All right, and I was able to just catch this roll over. Okay, so that was a nice setup of continued breakdown, this bearish flag breakdown, pullback, continuation. All right, so now gold is at an interesting level. It could still possibly give us one more wave down too. All right, and then possibly bounce around there. That's a possibility. Possibly one more wave. But if price was to continue to break back above structure, then we could catch, probably more buys to the upside. All right. But looking at this, I mean, this could still possibly roll over one more time. And then around this demand level, possibly break up. All right. So we'll just have to see how price develop. We just want to react to what price shows us, understand both scenarios of what could possibly happen. And once it happens, know how to attack it or know how to execute potential trades once price shows you his hand. All right. So those are the pairs I'm covering so far. If you are in the VIP Discord, I will keep you all up to date. If you're not, we were able to catch, just on the signals given 270, I mean, almost 300 pips. All right. That we was able to catch. We're going to look to be catching more. So if you're looking for a community that you can learn, you can be in a position that you can earn while you're learning, tap in at the fxwave.com. And I'll see you all on the next one.